As a biologist, it is clear to me that the greatest tool an athlete or any human being can have is his mind. But despite this, for me, everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything, is emotional. 20 years ago, I had no idea about emotions. Despite being at Harvard Medical School doing my postdoctoral studies at the Children's Hospital in Boston. It was precisely 20 years ago, in 2004, when I decided, after a series of very stressful work episodes, to become my own guinea pig. A fact that I continue to do to this day. Get out of the lab, return to my country, Argentina, and study and continue training myself to use scientific knowledge for the benefit of others. But first, and the most important part is this, first, passing it through my mind, my body, and my emotions. At that time, I wasn't even capable of comprehending it, but today I realize and can see more in depth that those stressful episodes led my mind, my decent thoughts, to worry a lot. I would actually say more than I ever thought possible. Today, we know that a worried mind leads to a tense body, thus creating a vicious cycle, because mind and body are the same. So the memories at that time in the hospital still haunt me to these days. But they were not just of my irritating mind or my tense body, but of the deep, unpleasant emotion that haunted me every day for a year. I felt sick in a healthy body. I attended to doctors, and of course, there was nothing wrong with me. It became the most significant crisis in my personal and professional life. But we all know about crises and opportunities, right? So that sorrowful crisis really shaped me. And it was what led me to dedicate these past 20 years of my life from the biological perspective to the relationship between mind, body, and emotions, and above all, their impact on high-performance sports. You know, many athletes possess astonishing talents, but some actually struggle with pressure and adversity. So mental strength, knowing your own body, or how to self-regulate your emotions, have nothing to do with talent. So raise your hand if you think we don't use the whole brain. We don't use the whole brain. So you are wrong. We do use the whole brain, but not at the same time. Neurons, like all cells, they need oxygen and food to function. In this specific case, neurons eat glucose. So given how we are as human beings, the system for supplying food and oxygen and glucose to the brain functions allow us to do so in such a way that only 2% of the brain benefits from these two resources. So yes, we use the whole brain, but simultaneously, we only have 2% out of the 86 billion neurons we have turned on and functioning. Incredibly, thanks to the advancement of science and technology, scientists, we can now determine which part of the brain we use while playing sports. So my job as a mental coach and biologist is to ensure, or at least try to do it, that on the day of the competition, each of these regions function fluidly with no interference, or at least with very little interference, so that the athlete can perform at the maximum potential. This is my job. So you were wrong with the brain. Let's see this. Raise your hand if you know what NACRA 17 is. Who knows what one? Okay, one is a lot. So you don't have to know it, don't worry. NACRA 17 is a double-handed mixed-gender Olympic catamaran, known for its ability to fly over the water using 4 appendages called hydrofoils. You will see there. So with the power of its 3 sails and the hydrofoil effect, it can reach a speed of 50 kilometers an hour. It's a lot over the water, 50 kilometers an hour. So the work of the crew consists in keeping the boat balanced by constantly adjusting the sails and their body position to make the most out of the wind available. So in my experience, last year, I had the luck and honor to work as a mental coach for the preparation of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games with the Argentine team of NACRA 17. So let me introduce you, Matteo Magdalani and Eugenia Bosco. It was my first time working with a water sport, and we spent several months training in Marseille, site for the Olympic competition in August 2024. So the first thing that I explained to Matteo and Eugenia was what is known, and you can see here, the iceberg model. So as you can see, there is a profound relationship between your performance and your mind, your thoughts, your way of thinking. Some call it your attitude in life. The sense you give all the time, you are doing it now, to the things that happen to you. Most of the time, those thoughts, of course, are unconscious. So one day, Matteo, the most rational of the team, returned from training, and when he arrived at the port, I asked him how it went. So he said to me that his performance was below his expectations. So what happened, Matteo? He responded that his movement around the boat were not fluid, and that caused him to trim the sails with not enough accuracy. Basically, his movements were so abrupt that he was holding the ropes with too much grip when the boat needed something else, much more gentle. So then I asked him if he could identify what emotions he felt during that training in the sea. It took him 1 or 2 minutes, and then pretty sure he said, I was angry and disappointed. Okay. So finally I challenged him, and I asked him if he could identify his thoughts during the training in the sea. Were you able to identify your most frequent thoughts? And he couldn't answer. He didn't know. I don't know. What I was thinking, I don't know. So it took him a couple of days of training in the same conditions to truly catch what he was thinking during training. Until one day, he came up to me with a very amazed and confused look on his face that the vast majority of his thoughts were negative, unreal, catastrophic, and exaggerated. So the realization of his negative mind made him come to the conclusion that those thoughts and not the training condition were the reason he felt angry and disappointed. And of course, I agreed with him. So then, it took Matteo a couple of weeks of training to change the way he was thinking in those situations, to change the way he thought those situations. Not necessarily forcing himself in thinking positive things, but instead focusing on more real thoughts, so thoughts that gave him a sense of security and tenacity. So, if you think about it, changing your way you think, it's something very simple to do. Not easy, simple. It's not easy because we are used to think always the same in any given situation. But it's simple. Once you realize what you are thinking, known as metacognition, and if you notice that the vast majority of your thoughts are unreal or negative or catastrophic, you just start to shift your thinking toward thoughts that make you feel something different. In the case of Matteo, something that made him feel more secure. So you start to create a new habit of thinking. And if you repeat it over and over again, you will create a new habit of thinking in any given situation. Because of Matteo was training every day, he had the chance of training himself every day. He was trying to think in a different way. So if you change the way you think, you change your mind, that will have a direct impact in your emotions, that will affect your body, your behaviors, so that will change your performance. Matteo knows about it. One day, Eugenia, always trying to connect with the sensation, the internal sensation of her body, returned from training, and of course, when she arrived at the port, I asked her how it went. He told me that they were not fast enough in comparison to the other boat, as she had spent the whole day trimming the sails without accuracy, incorrectly. So she felt very agitated and frustrated because of that. So when I checked her heart rate during the training in the sea, I noticed that it was not the boat that was flying, but her heart. 160 beats per minute. So I explained to her that changes in her heart rate can send signals to her brain that may affect how she perceives and evaluates choices during sailing. So it is a matter of change the way you breathe, which is breathing consciously, in this specific case, to activate the parasympathetic system in order to feel calmer and safer, to lower your heart rate, leading to make better and beneficial decisions. So if you change your body, in this case, changing your breathing, you will affect your emotions. And if you change your emotions, you will change the way you think. Hopefully, having better decisions or making better decisions, so you will change your performance. So you can see emotions are in the middle of everything. So, therefore, Eugenia knows about it, of course. Therefore, I now invite you to breathe as Eugenia did on the boat that day to feel calmer and safer. So we are going to do an experiment. So we are going to perform the humming breathing. So be prepared. We are going to follow a little ball here. So the idea is, first, put please your back straight, your shoulders, relax your shoulders. They should be far away from your ears, not here, here. Relax your muscles in your face. And breathe like this, no, relax. So we are going to breathe through the nose, inhale and exhale through the nose. And we are going to inhale in 4 seconds and exhale in 7 seconds. But while exhaling, you are going to perform the M sound. Like this, you are going to activate your vagus nerve, your parasympathetic system, and you will feel calmer. I don't know if you need it, but you are going to feel it. We need it. So are you ready? So I want to hear the Let's go. Bring the air to the base of the lungs, to the belly, not here, there, here. Nice. Now louder. Let's do it for 10 minutes, okay? Great, thank you. Thank you very much. So, are you interested in knowing how Mateo and Eugenia did in the Olympic Games? If you are not interested, I will go again. So I told you everything is emotional. Everything is emotional. 20 years later, I still wonder if science has enough evidence to prove it. But as far for me, I have no doubts. Everything is emotional. What do you think? Thank you.